Hello, are you Rich Tinson?
Yes, I am.
I am Elaine Coughlin. Welcome to Pacific University School of Education. Classes are starting today for our one-year Masters of Arts in Teaching program. Your classroom is down the hall. If you don't need anything else, then I would like for you to create a critical question.
What is a critical question?
A critical question is a question that is critical.
Critical?
Yes. Critical.
Critical to what?
It should be critical to you.
But I don't really have a question that is critical to me.
You don't seem to understand. You must have a critical question.
Okay, when do I finish?
That is not critical.
Will I be able to find a job?
Not critical.
What will I be able to teach?
What part of critical do you not understand?
All of it.
Of course. You cannot understand the importance of the critical question until you have a critical question to understand. It is good to see that you now understand. So what is your critical question?
This is going to be a long summer.
How is your middle school science placement going?
Pretty good. I have nearly finished my APT.
That is great. I am starting my APT next week. What did you decide on for evaluating it?
Well, I had to mix my assessments. For my critical question on designing heterogeneous groups, I relied on a lot of qualitative observations. First, I let the students self-select their groups and work on a project. I kept track of how efficiently they were working together by keeping track of how on task they were when I walked around the classroom. I also evaluated the completed projects from each team.
What kind of projects?
I chose several small group learning projects that had attainable products. My favorites were posters. They always had the names of all group members on them and they were easy to compare the quality. One of the guest speakers at Pacific had a great idea to divide the posters into 4 sections and use them for vocab, practical examples, graphic examples and so forth.
But qualitative assessments is not real data, is it?
It can be. The rubrics for the posters were covered in class and every group project also had a scoring rubric for group interaction. By clearly informing the students of the specifics of the assessments, it was actually easy to score the work. I also used a more traditional quantitative pre- and post-assessment to complement my qualitative data. Formative data in the form of science journals and worksheets were used daily to keep me informed on student progress.
I agree with you on monitoring daily progress. I also used formative assessments to adjust the pace and content of my classes.
The biggest problem that I had was that my classes would often progress at different rates. This made me adjust my lesson plans independently, which caused more preps. Monitor and adjust works great for each class, but it caused me problems with pacing between classes.
My school had supplemental material available that would both challenge the TAG students and help support some slower learners. I was amazed at all the resources that are available for ESL.
I will have to see what is available at my school.
Were you able to cover all the material you wanted to?
Learning was much slower than I thought it would be for all my classes. Although I covered all the benchmarks at some level, I did not cover them as thoroughly as I would have liked. The Oregon State Benchmarks website that I learned about was very useful. The school also had posters up with the benchmarks on them. Although I was very familiar with the material in the physical sciences, I have much to learn in life science. I think more reading in this area would be good for me.
But are life sciences really science at all?
The Oregon Department of Education seems to think so. I used their website a lot. The school computers also offered access to teacher sites that were very handy.
At my school, the computers were useful for showing videos, but other tools were horrible.
What do you mean?
There's not much available to improve productivity. Even simple things like sending jobs to production copiers could not be done over the network.
I know what you mean. Even though we had some training at Pacific on the computerized grade system, I could not believe how bad it was until I used it. Java is not intended for distributed databases, and the application was never designed with proficiency grading in mind.
I found it very helpful to keep all the records in Excel and just submit summary data.
Hey look, there is my mentor teacher. Hello Curly.
Oh, what a surprise. I did not know they allowed student teachers in the club.
Actually, I have a friend that washes dishes in the kitchen, that gives me more status.
That makes sense.
Who are you playing tennis with?
Jan.
The Spanish teacher?
Yes.
She is so amazing, I learned a lot observing her.
Yes, she is legendary. Her ability to change pace and keep the students engaged is amazing. I have seen her use wait time and hand clapping very effectively. She is especially effective connecting with the Latino community in after-school clubs and phoning the families to speak directly with parents.
I know what you mean. At Pacific we learned that by assaulting students that improperly point their shoes we can gain their respect.
Really? You should try to mix other classroom management strategies also. Of course, I think the best classroom management technique is engaging lesson plans that keep the students interested.
I have found that I mix the strategies best if they are written into my lesson plans.
I think that is really the key to so many of the strategies we have learned in school. It takes practice to develop them. Oh yes, I am still learning after 10 years. But I also keep up with the developmental classes that are offered in the middle school and by the school district.
That seems like a great idea. I will check into them.
How did that critical question go?
I do not think that the topic of the question was as important as just having a critical question. A critical question gave me a focal point for developing a research plan and practicing the skills I have learned in the classroom. It made me think of ways to measure the effectiveness of my teaching, the goals of my assessments, and how to thoughtfully reflect on myself.
Wow! What amazing insight!